We're going to start the webinar now. Almost everyone is connected. We have a few people pending. Probably they can't make it for today, so they will be able to watch, and you will be able to watch it again over and over for the next few days, in case there is anything you want to hear again or that you're not quite sure about, or for the people who were not able to make it. So today we're going to talk you through the method that we have developed to speak a new language in just 30 days. So what is important to note is that speaking a language could be anything. It could mean anything between being able to speak one word and speak fluently thousands of words. What we're going to tell you today is how you can speak a new language in just 30 days. So basically, we have to be clear on the definition. What does it mean to speak a new language? If you can say one word in one language, you are speaking the language. If you can say ni hao in Chinese, you're already speaking the language. You're already speaking Chinese. Now, that's not sufficient. That's not satisfactory. So, what we mean by speak a new language is to be able to get your ideas across and get understood in basic conversation fluently without having to suffer at every single step, every single word that you need to use. And then once you have that level of a 5 or 6 year old native, then you can start increasing your vocabulary and improving your grammar, but only then. Fluency first. And that means speaking the language as of day one. And this is how we're going to focus on how to speak a language in 30 days with this method. And we're going to talk you through how this method has been created. So we're going to introduce you to the shortcut method, where it came from, and why it works. And then on the webinar number 2, we'll talk you through the environment and the implementation, how you can arrange your environment on a daily basis so that you can actually improve your speaking skills. And then on the webinar number 3, we're going to talk you through the importance of following the 10 steps of that first phase of the of the method to fluency. 10 steps to fluency. If you don't follow the steps at the right rhythm and the right way, you are probably, I'm not going to say you're going to fail, but you're probably going to undermine the efficiency of your learning experience. And I'm going to share with you on that day how I failed when I was trying to learn Norwegian a few years ago, and what I learned from it, and how I changed the method after that. And then on webinar number 4, we're going to talk you through the coaching and training and material and everything that's available to you internally from us, from the shortcut method, but also we're going to have a quick look and at what's available out there on YouTube and apps, to give you a small overview of what's available and how you can best use it. Okay, so today the agenda of this meeting is going to go through the most common obstacles in language learning, and then I'm going to talk you through the ways of the method, of the shortcut method, and show you why it's working so well. And then finally, we're going to have a small session of question and answers. So first of all, the most common obstacles in language learning are people who think I'm not good at languages, I'm very bad at grammar. In France, the education is not so good, or in whichever country I live, the teaching of the languages is terrible. And honestly, it's not just terrible in France or Spain or the US or everywhere. It's like every country has their own problems of why the teaching experience is so awful, but it's a disaster everywhere. And not having the right accent is definitely not a problem, but like people are stopped and blocked by it. So we want to make sure that all these obstacles are actually no longer obstacles to your learning experience with the shortcut method. And we're going to show you how throughout the 4 webinars. Very quickly, an overview of the shortcut method, which was born 25 years ago now, and that was back in 1998. I'm half French, half Spanish. I wanted to learn Italian, so I developed a method for me to learn Italian, and I went to Italy. After 5 days, I could speak fluently, and I stayed 1 month in Italy, in the Italian family, and then it was like, for me, it was obvious that that I was gifted at languages, and that the method was working properly. But then I started experimenting where when I was like studying and doing some Erasmus exchanges in Taiwan, in Germany, Australia, Ireland, Colombia, Brazil. I've been teaching languages all over the place, and I've been experimenting this method as a teacher, not just me learning a method, but like me learning a language, but other people learning a language. And it worked. It worked very well. I had one student in Colombia. I gave her 4 French lessons, 1 or 2 hours each time over 4 weeks, like once a week. After 4 weeks, she could speak the language. She could read a legal article and express herself and say what she means, what she thinks of it, all in French for half an hour nonstop. So I was pretty pleased with the result. And then after that, I decided to develop the teaching material on the side of my previous work as an auditor in big multinational companies traveling around the world. I kept on developing the teaching materials. And then I had my kids. First one was born in 2012, and then in 2014, and the last one in 2019. So now I have 3 kids, and my focus in my private life is now to make sure that my kids actually speak languages. My daughter is now 10 and she's learning her language number 8, being Japanese, and she finds it easy and it's fun, and she's just loving it. So I'm focusing now on trying to develop the method as well for children because it's very different. And at the same time, we've been starting to commercialize the coaching approach, and which was initially done based on experimentation, sometimes even for free, like on a trial and error basis. And then I've done a few conferences and workshops, mainly in France and Spain, wrote an ebook, and right now writing 2 books, which I have put on hold for now. And we're opening a language school in Spain, in Valencia, where we have helped a German girl learn. She was 22 at the time, and she learned Spanish in just 8 days. So it was the first time we tried. And then we had someone learning French in 8 days. And you can see all of that on YouTube and TikTok. And we're step by step trying to now update our social media by posting information, both to show the results of the method, but also we're going to start posting free information of how people can use the method on their own. And the language school we've been opening in Spain, like it's not completely up and running yet, but we're actually transitioning into a into a club instead of a language school. But obviously, that's probably more of an interest for the people who are in Spain and who can join the club because it's local club where people can come and train French, German, and English 24/7, unlimited, for a very minimal fee for the whole family. So it's pretty cool for the people who live around there. And then once that's a success, because there is no doubt it will be a success, then we will probably think of opening new language schools with the same structure and the same approach in different locations around the world. So the shortcut method is basically the method that actually, I'm not gonna say all the polyglots, but most of the polyglots use when they want to learn a language. The thing is, the teachers who teach the language, usually they're not polyglots. So the way they teach um, is usually limited by what they have to do, what the school tells them to do, and they don't do what they should do because most of the time they don't even know what they should do because they've never been in a situation where they were learning 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. So usually a native English guy is going to teach English, a native French is going to teach French, a native Spanish is going to teach Spanish. But these people know their own language perfectly, doesn't make the teaching the right experience. So this method is based on the right brain instead of the left brain. Most of the methods we've come across so far, be in schools, the apps, whatever, they're all based on the left brain. Learn lists of vocabulary, learn grammar rules. If you do it wrong, if you say it wrong, repeat it again and again and again until it's right. And if it's not right, you don't move on. Well, we have a very different approach. Our approach is Say it, right or wrong, but just say it. Get it across. And as long as you get understood, that's fine. And we're going to help you step by step decide what you need to learn and at what pace. And we are going to help you identify what needs to be corrected and what should not be corrected. Because if you correct a student too much, then you will stop their fluency. The first thing you have to know is that you have a very, very powerful brain and you need to trust your brain. So I'm sure you can read that sentence right now. And there's only one word that is correct, all the rest is incorrect. And yet you can still understand everything. You can still read it and understand everything. So now let's do a little test. What about this text now? Have a quick look if you know this text. If not, have a look at it. I'll give you a few seconds. If it's hard for you, just step back, get away from the computer, and it'll gonna be easier. Trust your brain. As you can see, the content of this text is not important at all. What is important is that you become aware that your brain is extremely powerful and that you can trust your brain much, much more than you thought. Well, unless you already knew this. But basically, what you need to know is, like as we said before, both the right and the left brain, or the right and the left hemisphere of the brain, are important for the learning experience. The key is how you optimize them. And with our method, we don't use the left brain too much at the beginning. At the beginning, the left brain, we are only going to learn a few letters and then just two words, and then maybe 10, and then 20, and then 50, step by step. But we are only going to move up as the fluency increases. But the right brain is going to be critical at the beginning, and then it's going to be less and less important because once you're into the fluency will pick up, and then your left brain will be important to include new vocabulary, more words, so that you can be more and more specific and feel more and more comfortable. But the idea is that you actually feel completely comfortable from day one to speak a new language that you know almost no word of. So basically, some people are very skilled to use their right brain, and these people sometimes are not so skilled with the left brain. So maybe we're talking about artists or some people who are, say, lazy when it comes to work, and they don't, they don't want to focus for too long, and they think that because they can't focus and they don't have a good memory, they can't learn a language. Well, guess what? That's completely wrong. And with our method, it's completely the opposite. These people will be much better off at the beginning of the learning experience. Now, that does mean that after a few days, as you can see, the left brain is going to become important. So for the first half of these 30 days, we're going to be training on the side the left brain and the use of the left brain, so that when we reach that point where people can talk fluently with a certain number of words, then they can use the left brain, and the left brain is going to be in a better shape than at the beginning. Now, for the other people were better off with the left brain rather than the right brain, these people were going to train the right brain 1 or 2 weeks before day one, so that they can start on the first day with with a right brain that is at least somewhat satisfactory to be able to create, to be able to say, to be able to speak and say things. Because some people would be blocked by anxiety, some people would be thinking too much, and overly thinking is not going to be good, because that's where the left brain is too much involved in all the decisions and all the steps that the person is making. But then it will stop the person from being fluent. And what we want to is, we want to make sure the person can talk fluently with confidence as soon as possible. So there's a lot of tools, a lot of exercises that can help you that, but there's a lot of other tools that we can work on. And some of them are even like maybe tools you haven't thought about, like hypnosis and stuff. And we're That is one thing we're working on to include hypnosis in our method. It's not available yet, but I'll get back to that later. So basically, for those who are not very familiar with left and right brain, you can know that the right brain is the part of your brain for the creativity, the intuition, everything that's artistic. Create something and feel something. Imagine. Most of the time, people who want to practice language, one of the things that are lacking is the imagination and the feeling. It's like they think too much and they think they're not allowed to feel, and their intuition is like somewhat limited, and they don't even know what to talk about, especially when you have only a limited vocabulary. So that is one thing that we're working on, so that people can actually work on that more than learning new words. And that's more important than learning 100 words. Learn 5 or 10 words, but then the most important here is to improve how you can increase your imagination, your artistic view, your creativity, so that you talk about something with repetition, through repetition. The left brain is more about analysis and logic and facts and maths and training and hard work. And that is something that's going to be very useful when you're going to have to learn 20, 50 words or whatever, or songs by heart. And we're going to spend more time analyzing text and documents that we're going to be sending you, so that these people are going to be better off. So what we'll do is, the people who are better off with the right brain, we're going to train the left brain a little bit so that they're in a better shape when we come to it. Another thing that the method is based on is that we try to make sure that people learn a language with like the kids do. That is, a child before the age of 7 or 8, the left brain is completely immature. It only really starts being useful at the age of 7 or 8, and this maturity, this immaturity of the left brain, does not prevent a child from learning a language. Look at the children who are 7 or 8 years old and how they can speak fluently their native language. That's amazing. And yet they have no left brain. Ask them when they're 20 if they remember their experiences when they were 4, 5, or 6. No memory. And that's because they only speak the language based on repetition, emotions, imitation. The more love they get, the better they will speak their native language. And that's what we need to do when we're an adult and we want to speak a language. Try to ask a child to master grammar rules before they even speak their native language. When they're 2, 3, 4 years old, it's impossible. Even when they're 5 or 6, they're having a hard time. And learning 50 new words every single day is completely impossible. So for children, I mean, it would take an awful lot of time. But it's easier to learn language for a child than it is for an adult. And let's observe the nature. When we humans created planes, we had a look at what's flying up there, and we found birds. They have wings. And so we decided to create this metal thing called plane. We put wings on it, and eventually we made it fly by observing the nature. That's exactly what we want to do with the shortcut method. Is we observe who is in a better position to learn a language easily. It needs to be easy. It shouldn't be complicated to learn a language. Almost nobody can say, I can't learn a language, because if you're saying I can't learn a language, you're saying that in English, and guess what? That's a language already. So you've learned a language, you can learn another one. So that's no excuse. So we are watching how the kids do it, and we're replicating it for the adults, so that they can do it the same way with the same simplicity. But what we have, the advantage of the adults, is that we have the maturity. We can make decisions, hard decisions, of getting to work, of defining our time plan, of coping with being bored, and coping with something that is not so interesting sometimes, because we know it's for the good. Children have a hard time with that, which is why we as an adult we as adults can learn languages much, much faster than children. The only thing is we should not overwhelm our brains with too many new elements, too many words too soon is what kills us. And the question and the fundamental key of the method is, when is it too soon and when is it too many? So we need to make sure that the fluidity and we need to make sure that the fluency is what we want to reach, and that everything is done in an intuitive way, that we can talk with intuition without having to think about what we're saying. So you may have heard about the state of flow developed by our Hungarian psychologist back in 1975. And that state of flow, which is the attention, enjoyment, and this is something that we are trying to reach with our method, so that actually people can be in a situation where their performance is optimal, their individual performance. And when we talk about performance, is like the performance of talking, being able to say new things, to get ideas across. Next to the flow, we have either a little bit arousal or control, but again, that's still positive. We're trying to reach the best state, which is the state of flow. Now, as you can see on the other side of the line, we have anxiety, boredom, apathy, worry, and these are usually the root causes of why we can't speak a language, because we are bored, we don't know what to say, or we're anxious and we're scared, or what are the people going to say, or we're stressed or distracted by our adult life full of meaningless or meaningful, whichever way you want to see it, things that we need to deal with on a daily basis. So the better the challenge, the better the skills, the perception of the skills that one has of himself, the better the state of flow will influence your optimal individual performance. So this is why we're developing a 6 weeks challenge, so that we really have, I get back to the previous slide, the challenge and the skills with the right rhythm and um, the right amount of words and information that we need to intake in our brain, so that we don't overwhelm it. So that's why we've developed this 6 weeks challenge that we're going to offer for the first time this year, from March 1st until April 15th. Why 6 weeks? We talked about learning a language in 30 days. The idea is that the first 2 weeks are going to be 2 weeks of preparation. We're going to talk through the 4 pillars, and we're going to talk through that in the next webinars. But the first 2 weeks are going to be based on, I'm going to focus on the preparation of the 4 weeks, and the actual learning of the language is going to be the 4 weeks. So altogether, we're talking about 15 video conferences, where the first 4 are going to be preparation. Then 10 calls are going to be about the 10 steps. And then the call number 15 is going to be a wrap up, where I'm going to explain to you, based on what you will have learned throughout the 6 weeks, how you can continue improving, what's missing for each of you, and how you can continue improving the language on your own without the need of paying anybody anything, or even how you can learn a new language that you want to learn. So if you're interested, you can see that we're offering this 6 weeks challenge for 500 euros. But during these webinars, we're going to offer special discounts. So for people who register before Sunday midnight, they'll get 40% off. People who register before Tuesday midnight, so that's the day before the next webinar, they'll get 30% off. And before before Thursday the 23rd at midnight, they get 20% off. And before Sunday, they get 10% off. After that, it's going to be the full price of 500 euros. If you know people who can be interested in this method, tell them now about these webinars. We're going to send you a link so that you can review this today's webinar offline. It's going to be available for a few days, and they can join at any time for webinar number 2, 3, 4. They can join in. We're going to, if they're interested in the 6 weeks challenge, contact us by email, theshortcutmethod@gmail.com, and we'll send you the link for registration. So there are thousands of methods available out there. And the first one is obviously the school. The school system, we know it doesn't work. That's a fact. But it's not because of the teachers, it's not because of the students, it's because of the system. The system is not designed for students to learn languages, it's designed for students to be occupied at learning something at school while the parents are working. So the teachers do their best with the resources that they have, and the students they do their best while being bored or not motivated for most of them. And it really depends on whoever has the good disposition and who wants to do something at school or not. Then you have the methods like Babel, Duolingo, and many more that are actually okay if you use them the right way, if you use them to increase the vocabulary. But if you're starting from scratch, a lot of people make the mistake of starting to learn a language with Babbel and Duolingo, and then they come to me and they say, "Oh, I've been using Duolingo, I've been using this app or this app for 2 years, but I don't know why I still can't speak the language. I know 200 words though, and I can recite them one by one, but I can't speak the language. I can't make a sentence, or I'm shy when it comes to speak the language." So this is because these apps, although they can help, they're not sufficient. They're not designed to train to trigger your right brain. Instead, they're designed to help you learn vocabulary, to help you learn structures, and they're designed to be fun. And sometimes they're going to be an element of motivation to say, "Oh, look, it's fun. This language is getting funnier and funnier." And but it's not gonna be sufficient for you to speak fluently the language. And then you have 8 bells, which is a method in Spain, which I won't talk too much about, but they are designed to speak the language in 8 months. Um, Personally, I think that 1 month is enough, but again, speak a language, it depends what level you reach. But I've had some students from Spain who have applied for the 8 bells, and they come to me saying, "I've been doing this for a few months now, and I still can't speak because it's too much work, too much words, too much grammar, and but it's not focusing on my right brain, and I still can't speak the language fluently." Whereas, as you can see on the social media, we have Roma, who is German and learned Spanish in 8 days, and we've published on YouTube and TikTok a bunch of videos showing the level she reached in just 8 days. Um, and last but not least, we're currently analyzing HypnoLedge. HypnoLedge is a learning platform that is using hypnosis as one of the means to improve the learning experience. And my wife, being hypnotherapist, we're analyzing that with very much detail, so that we can see how we can integrate in the shortcut method an even better approach of hypnosis tools, and so to be able in the future to offer the best of the two. If you have some questions, now is a good moment. Feel free to ask me any questions you may have, and in writing, or raise your hand, and then we can yeah, we have one question here, is what language we can offer. Okay, so we are developing the material for the learning material for different languages. We have the learning material available for, I'd say, what I call the European languages. So obviously English, which you will not be interested in, but we also have French, German, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and not European, we would have Chinese for now. It's both simplified and traditional. Now, what we are working on, it's at its final stage now, is Japanese and Hebrew, for those who are interested. And then the next language we've started working on are Polish, Russian, Greek, Arabic, and Korean are the main language. So these are the main languages we have to offer. So right now available as of 1st of March, I'd say the 6, 7 languages, the European languages plus Chinese, and we're almost done with Hebrew and Japanese. So if we have some people interested, then we could be able to offer these languages too as of March 1st. As for the other languages, Russian, Korean, and so on, if we have a few people interested, then we could try and see if we can make it happen. Otherwise, like right now, it's not available, but it is a possibility. If we have a few people interested, we could develop the efforts towards one or two more languages. So just let us know and send us an email. Tell us what language you would like to be able to speak. If someone hasn't been able to attend this first webinar today and they want to join the second webinar, obviously it's completely possible. Just register on the website and we will include you in the future communication for the webinar number 2, 3, and 4, and you will be able to obviously benefit from the advantages of these special webinar offers for the 6 weeks challenge. If you feel that this could be interesting for some other people around you, please do not hesitate to shoot the information to them, and be it our YouTube channel, our website, whatever, so that they can register to the next webinars and take part in the 6 weeks challenge if they want to. This is a one-time only opportunity. This is the first time we offer that, and um, we will probably offer that again next year in 2024. But as of for this year, this is going to be the only time that we're going to be offering the 6 weeks challenge. Anybody has any other question? If anybody has any other question, now is the moment. If not, we're gonna call it a day, and I'll see you all on webinar number 2. And thank you very much. Feel free to play and replay this webinar number 1 over and over again if you need to, and write down your questions. You can email your questions to us as well. We either will respond by email, or we will respond during the next webinars. Thank you very much.